Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. I'm so excited for this one because this is one of those moments where we truly bring to you a very odd and unique piece, something that really hasn't been seen in any other product. This is a very interesting and unique design, as you could tell by the thumbnail. This is the Duo turntable by HYM. Now, HYM did this initially as a Kickstarter, and it's just so unique. It comes in three colors, like a neon yellow, a black, and an orange. I'm not sure which color I have. This is a product sample. My views, as always, will be my own, but I'm just hoping this is a winner because I'm super excited for it. Can't wait to try it out. Give it a listen. It looks funky. It looks fresh. You're not going to want to miss this. Well, isn't this interesting looking? I saw this advertised somewhere, probably Facebook or something, and I'm like, dang, that looks cool. That looks really cool. Okay, let's go ahead and give it an opening, an unboxing as it were. Here is the manual on an interesting sort of off-white colored paper. Kind of feels like resume paper. Interesting stuff. And we've got the power supply, which is a DC wall wart. These don't bother me as much as they bother some people. I'm like, whatever. It does eat up some real estate on a power strip, but you know, I'm pretty creative. I can manage. Got this little box here. Let's see what's in here. Okay, it's a USB-C? Yes. Nope, micro. USB micro cable. And this appears to be the dust cover. Very small. Okay, set that aside. And this piece of cardboard. There we go. And the device itself. Looks like I got the black one. I was kind of hoping for the orange. That's okay. So here are the complete contents of the box. Let's go ahead and open this up. Interesting, it's like a sort of stretchy plastic. It's the kind of plastic that you can just like easily, you know, tear into and whatnot. I want to make sure that I don't scratch this dust cover. It's amazing how hard I try not to scratch dust covers, but even looking at them wrong will scratch a dust cover, at least in my experience. So I got to be very careful. Good grief. This is on there tight, and there's sharp corners and things, and it gets caught. Okay, so the dust cover, interesting. HYM Duo Originals. Not an insignificant investment. And my hopes are high, expectations are high for performance. So there is the turntable. Smaller than I thought. I mean, I knew it was going to be small-ish, but... And there is the speaker. Now, the big thing about this is speaker system detaches by design and can be used as a standalone Bluetooth speaker. And I also believe it can stream to its own speaker. I'm not 100% sure on that. We'll find out. Okay, let's start by looking at the speaker itself. It does have, by the way, there is some heft to the speaker. In fact, the speaker may weigh more. No, they're actually about equal. This has got weight to it, and so does the main device. The branding there is shiny, and the rest is sort of a matte finish. We have what feels like, oh, that's plastic. Is it? Can't quite tell if that's metal or plastic. Feels cool to the touch. That's why I always feel it to determine that. It may be metal. I'm not 100% sure. There are two drivers in here and one passive radiator. 10 watts. So it should have some good sound for what it is. Oh, this is nice. Interesting. A very soft rubber foot that extends the complete lower dimension of the speaker itself. It's very soft and spongy. These ridges are hollow. It feels really, that's nice to fidget with. There's the speaker drivers, so you can see that pretty clearly there. So two drivers and one passive radiator. Grills front and back. This is just going to be for ventilation. On this side, we've got the port or the plug where it plugs into the turntable, as well as the charging port. On the opposite side, we've got some control buttons. It looks like a light there. Microphone, Bluetooth for pairing, volume up and down. These are probably dual function transport controls for skipping songs, etc., etc. That is it for the speaker just by itself. That's cool. That's a very cool looking, it looks like a mini sound bar. Here is the turntable, and this is the funkiest shaped turntable ever. Even with the speaker mounted on it, it's going to be the funkiest ever. So it's got sort of that same matte finish. There is surprising heft to it. It is not as hollow and lightweight as I thought. Nice. It's got that same spongy rubber on the bottom there. It looks like two access points to adjust the speed of the motor, which is good. You can see there the port where the speaker plugs in, and it's got some play to it. I wonder if that's by design. It doesn't sit completely flat, so that's interesting. And the bottom side of this raised edge is just flat. That's where the regulatory stuff is. On this side, we've got a DC port for power. Plugs in right there. Top side, we've got the platter, and that is plastic. I was hoping that would be metal. Speaking of the platter, they claim to have a distortion of less than 0.9%, which isn't terrible, but it's not fantastic. To put it in perspective, most turntables at this price point have a distortion of 0.2 or 0.25. So it is considerably higher than that. Is that going to be audible for us? You know, time will tell. But yeah, that's just it's belt driven. There's a 2-step belt drive with a pulley in between. And that's, you know, just like a Soundburger or any of those types. This is my first thought is, yeah, this looks like a Soundburger lifted, like a monster truck version of a Soundburger. On top here, we have a single button and this knob here, which is actually a switch. It's not a knob, so it's different positions. This is a 2-speed turntable, 45 and 33 1/3. There is, I can tell, I don't know if it's coming across on camera, but you can tell there are different indicators on here, so I'm hoping that those light up. They pride themselves in the precision of manufacturing, and as such, they promise a tracking force of 2.5 grams. We'll test that. And the tone arm is spring mounted. You can actually see the spring right down in there. And if I spin it around here, we've got a little rest for the tone arm. And then the venerable 3600. So 2.5 grams on that should be just about perfect. That's actually tracking light for this cartridge, but it should work fine. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the tape back here carefully. Thankfully, the stylus guard is still in place. This piece that was under here is just a pretty simple piece of plastic. It does not function as a 45 adapter. That would be cool, but it just plugs in right there for putting the tone arm on when it's not in use. It's like a stowage position, and then when the tone arm is, you know, in use, you take it off. That should be a 45 adapter in my opinion. So it is what it is. Let's go ahead and plug the speaker in. I'm going to just try and spitball it. Okay, it slid right in, so it didn't like click or anything. And if I pick it up, it doesn't go with it. It just kind of, oops, look at that. While trying to demonstrate how this plugs in, this went flying, and the tone arm, I found out, can, you know, move over here, which at first I was like, oh, that's not good. But think about it. It has to accommodate the edge of the record, because the edge of the record is going to be out there. It's still got the stylus guard on it, so don't freak out when I'm, you know, moving it around. It feels light. And again, we'll test it in a minute. But yeah, there's no click when you put the speaker in. It just sort of, you don't even feel it mush in. It just kind of is there. So hopefully it's in there properly. And then the buttons to control it are now back here. And I think we should plug it in. That's probably a good first thing to do. The port to plug in is over here, the power port. Okay, I think I've got it down now. I've tried this a few times and I finally got the hang of it. So in the extreme far position, there's a little bit of a catch for the tone arm. It is very delicate, I can tell. So I mean, you put your hand down there, when a kid smacks it, you're done for. It reminds me from how do I say this? It wouldn't survive a lot of abuse. It's not particularly rugged. That being said, if an adult handles it, you shouldn't have any problems from that standpoint. Very similar to the Victrola Revolution Go thing, which I love, but the caveat is don't drop it, because that will be the one and only time that happens. So anyway, there's a catch there. If you move it forward, it just kind of falls down there. Otherwise, it has to be on the record, and nothing happens automatically by doing that. But we're going to go ahead and place our stylus there. The turntable doesn't know the position of the stylus as far as I can tell. We're going to start by turning the turntable itself on. From a fit and finish standpoint, if you push down on this corner, there's a gap between the speaker and this. So when you're pushing down there, that's kind of annoying. As you can see, this is kind of doing its thing there. The speaker is very stable, but there's this gap here. It would be nice if it was flush. You know what I mean? Like it was rigid to the speaker, but there's a gap, and you can tell. Anyway, if I flip this on, you can see the status light blink. It is a Bluetooth connection to itself, I believe, because when I power this device on by pressing and holding, it comes to life, and then you'll hear a chime, and it will connect in just a second. Hopefully it'll do it on camera, because I got it to do it off camera. Now, if it does it on camera, that would just be awesome. Okay, so there, it took a second. So you got to give it like 20 seconds. So now the bass unit and the speaker are linked together, and you can continue to turn that knob to the speed option. You want 33 as first, and then 45. And then when you're done, you can turn it back to neutral. Why neutral? Because with the neutral option, you can have the unit powered on but stopped and not unpaired from the speaker. So maybe the next best thing to do would just be a sound test, an ambient sound test. There's no headphone jack. There's no line output. It is designed as a self-contained record player. So it is therefore a record player, not a turntable in my book. So let's go ahead and give it a listen. Listen to the speakers and the speaker unit with multiple drivers, and really assess the sound quality in the room. For that, I will be using my onboard mic. So we're not doing a direct feed because we can't. We're doing an in-the-room ambient test. Without further ado, here's what this thing sounds like. Okay, so it's definitely a Bluetooth connection to its own speaker, because there's a little bit of a delay when you take the tone arm off or put it on that you hear actual sound. It's like maybe a half a second delay, maybe a second delay. So it is streaming digital audio. There's no way to actually get analog sound out of this, which is interesting. But for this purpose, again, not a huge deal. This is definitely erring on the side of novelty. What makes this unique? Well, a lot of things make it unique, but one of the things that makes it unique is the fact you can walk away with the speaker, right? So let's go ahead and just try to do that. It's Bluetooth after all, right? Yeah, so the sound is coming out of the speaker, and I can completely remove it from the turntable, and it continues to stream to the speaker. How practical that is up to you, but I think it's a cool feature anyway. So yeah, I mean, kind of bizarre, kind of speechless. It's bizarre, but yeah, I could see, you're listening to a record and you got to go into the other room, you want to take the tunes with you, literally. You've probably got about a 30-foot range on this. And you can change the volume. You can't skip, obviously. This works as a standalone Bluetooth speaker, so if you want to pair like your phone to this and forget vinyl, then this works as a standalone Bluetooth speaker as well. So what is the dock for? I think the dock charges it when it's plugged into the bass, but there's no audio connectivity between the two. It's always streaming Bluetooth to this device. So yeah, I bet you've never seen anything quite like that before. It is fun. It is a really fun device. I'm trying to decide if it's as practical as it is interesting. Okay, so I'm going to switch this off. Let's check the tracking force to begin with. So for that, I'm going to use something that approximates the size and dimension of a record. This is a acrylic platter mat. And the reason is I want to take a measurement kind of at the outside edge as well as the inside edge. And obviously without a full-size platter, that's difficult to do. So I'm going to be using my tried and true little digital gauge available under various brand names on Amazon or eBay for $10 or less. And let's just see where this guy comes out. So I'm going to put it right. Well, it has to be over here. Oh yeah, that's not going to work because it's since the platter isn't big enough to support it. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Like maybe I need a record weight to stabilize that. That may be the first time I've actually needed a record weight for something. And before anybody feels inclined to tell me in the comments, no, I would not recommend playing this unit with a record weight. That would give you no benefit whatsoever. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this thing zeroed out. And it says 2.5 grams, so that's what I'm assuming it'll be, but let's just trust but verify as soon as I can get it on the right spot. Boy, it wants to rotate forward. All right, I'm going to hold it still and see if I can get close. Yeah, 2.4, 2.2. Now, what happens if I put it in the inner areas of the disc? Where are we at? 2.43, 2.45. So it's actually a little less than advertised. Now, you don't want to track too light, and you can do more damage with it tracking too light. Wow, that looks really cool, the orange reflecting on there. But it's not tracking too heavy, I can tell you that for sure. Now let's check the speed consistency. Okay, time to check the speed. This is a strobe warning to anybody that's sensitive to strobing or photosensitive to anything. You may want to skip now. Okay, we're going to start with 33 RPM, looking right here. And it is a hair fast. A little more than a hair. It's a bit fast. In case you're wondering, a bit is more than a hair. Going to 45 in the middle here. Similarly, when you put a record on, drop the needle, it'll slow down a hair, but this is it's a bit fast. And that being said, I don't think you would notice pitch-wise a big difference. I didn't hear any difference. I listened to a couple of my favorite records. I did not notice, but something to be aware of. I'm sure that each one off the line may have small variances. Now remember though, on the bottom of the unit, there was a couple of trim pots, so you can get in there and fine tune that. So that's a very good thing. And with a stroboscopic disc like this, or a freebie you can print online, it's not a big deal to go and make an adjustment to that. It wouldn't even void your warranty. I think it's cool. I do think it's cool. The sound quality to me in the room sounded really good, very warm, very rich, a lot of bass, a lot of punch. It's an excellent, excellent Bluetooth speaker. The record player, I'm glad that it has a magnetic cartridge and they didn't do this with a ceramic. So that was a very smart decision and worth, whatever, additional amount the component cost to do so. It does run on a 12-volt power supply because of that magnetic preamp requirement. But I think it's cool. It sounds good. It's a little muddy. The high ends are the weak link in terms of sound quality, but not so much that you would be like, oh yeah, it's missing the high ends. Just if you have to nitpick, that's the only thing. It's not even depleted. It's just a little flat on the high end, but the rich mids and bass more than make up for it, in my opinion. Check this out when you push this button.
寻圈连接 APP 群圈连接 APP.
Not sure what that says. All right, my friends, and that's going to do it. It was indeed funky and fresh and very, very cool as well. And it sounded wonderful. It worked great. And if you agreed and are interested in one, I'll put a link down below. But mostly, I just want to say thank you for being there, as always, for all of your support, all of your love, all of your everything positive that you have given back over the years. Mostly, just thank you for being there, guys. Happy record hunting, and we'll see you next time.